There we go.
Welcome to another episode of an uncensored account of a Black man's experience in America. I'm your co host, Lisa Alexander.
And I'm your host, Zonette Jackson. And today on our show, on our show, on our episode, we're excited to have Tommy Gray the second. He's a retired Marine, 22 years in the Marine Corps. He's a published author. Okay, he has a devotional out, and we'll talk some more about that at the end of the show, so you can be able to, purchase his devotional. His story is inspiring. Graduated high school halfway illiterate, and now he's overcome so many obstacles where he's about to pursue his second master's degree. He is just an actor on the big screen. What? So we're just excited to hear Tommy's story. Tommy, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Welcome. We are glad that you're here, and we're so excited with all of those accolades and stuff that come with your name. And we're so thankful that you're going to sit down and talk about an experience of the basis of who you are, which is a Black man in America, and how you were able to overcome a lot of those obstacles to be who you are. So we're going to go ahead and dive in with our first question. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's go to it.
All right, awesome. So, what age were you first made aware that your skin color mattered and would determine how you'd be treated in life?
Well, I would probably go back to the genesis of that as far as I can, as far as my mind could go back to, and I probably would say there was a time in sixth grade, where I really started to notice that, unfortunately, my skin color made a difference in how I was treated. Whether I was put in the front of the lunch line or the middle of the lunch line or in back of the lunch line. In certain scenarios like that, where that may not seem like a very big deal to people, but when lunchtime is the one of the times you look forward to in school, because it's one of the times you really get to eat something, and you're supposed to be at a certain place in line, going by last name. If my last name starts with a G, I'm supposed to be in the middle. Then why am I constantly getting moved back to the Y's, and the W's? And by the time I get up to the lunch line to finally get through there, there's not much left. And so I start to notice right around then that, skin color made a difference. And I felt that it did, because I felt like every time I went to the cafeteria for lunchtime, I was constantly moved.
Wow.
And
Man.
what kind of effect did that have on you at that age, realizing that, wait a minute, the color of my skin is how they're deciding to treat me because of it? How did that make you feel at that age? Like, how did that change your perspective moving forward?
Yeah.
Well, it changed my perspective first in a negative way, meaning, I thought at one point in time, there's something wrong with me. It's something wrong with the way I look. Am I not good enough?
Oh, yeah.
Why was I created like this? It has such a dramatic effect on me that there was a point in time in my life, for years, that I went through where I would say to myself, "No, maybe I'm ugly. No, maybe something looks wrong with me." So it had a negative impact, because for years I was self-conscious of how I looked. And it wasn't until maybe, almost give or take, theoretically, maybe a decade ago, where I finally got the mindset that I am more than just that. I am more than just my skin color. I'm more than just how I was treated. That's how I was treated, but that's not who I am. And so,
Wow.
it had a dramatic effect on me. Now, the good news to that, the reciprocal of that, is that when I finally was able to look past that, it made me stand my ground flat-footed in being treated with respect in regards to the man that I am, but also knowing how that felt, which is the bigger issue. Knowing how that felt, knowing that I would not allow myself to condescend somebody like that, knowing how that feels.
Wow. That is, wow. How profound that is, that at 6 years old, right? You said 6 years old, the
It's about the
sixth grade. The just, man, that kind of kept made a big difference into how you view the world and how you view yourself, your self-esteem. It affected your self-esteem and all that. And I mean, that's definitely, I commend you for just being able to move past that, you know. And what are some of the things that you would be aware of on a daily basis, or some precautions that you would take to avoid being stereotyped?
Well, you control what you can control, right? And so that goes in regards to several concepts, methodologies. It goes to, first of all, just as a black man, number one, how, when I walk, how do I carry myself? Okay. When I walk, how am I walking? Am I walking upright with my back straight, my chest out, and my shoulders back, letting people know through nonverbal communication that I am a successful African American male. I am a successful father. So how you walk, it also goes in contrast to how you dress. And I can elaborate on that with how you dress, because there's a time and there's a place for everything. There's a time and a place on how you should dress. There's a time and a place on how you should dress when I go to work every day in corporate America. There's a time and a place on how I should dress if I'm going to the basketball court. I will not dress like I'm going to the basketball court if I'm going to the bank to apply for a loan for a home.
Right.
And all these things may sound like common sense, but they're not so common, because you see many men now today not dressed based off of their dress does not always match the mindset that they should have. So you look at how you walk, how you carry yourself. You look at how you dress, but also one more piece of data that correlates with that. You look at how you talk, and how you talk, the language you convey, the dialogue that you have with people, and the feedback and the feed forward that you give people tells people a whole lot about your character. You can tell a whole lot about a man's character in less than 25 seconds in the words that he say, or better yet, the things that he don't say.
Yeah.
So I think that, it goes to how you walk, how you dress, how you carry yourself, and how you speak. Those are things that people notice.
Tommy, let me ask you a question though, because it's interesting that you talk about how you're conscious about the way you dress, going to the bank versus going to the gym versus going to the, church or wherever. Do you think that white men have the same challenge? Because we could be sitting in the room with millionaires and they have on flip flops and a t-shirt.
That's true.
Versus a black man who has to look as though he has $1 million. So my question, I guess, is, do you think that it's different for a black man to have to dress differently versus a white man?
Well, no, some people will dare to say that, well, we all have the same level of equality. Some people say that, but in theory, I would have to say that there is a difference with that. A white Caucasian man could be a millionaire and wear beachwear,
Right.
and nobody probably would not question him. But if I went into a bank with beachwear on, I probably wouldn't make it through the doors before the head teller or the bank manager say, "Can I help you?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Really true.
So while we would like to say it doesn't, and in a perfect world we would say,
Yeah.
I will have to beg to differ and say that it does.
It does.
It does. I do, and this is not by any way, shape, form, or fashion meant to be condescending. But I have to be one step ahead. I have to think like a quarterback on the football field. I have to think 3 or 4 plays ahead. I have to be able to see the whole field if I want to get into the end zone. And as an African American man, if I want to take the lead in society, in my home, if I want to be the quarterback, I have to be willing to take the hit. Because just like in football, the quarterback does not always see everything that's coming. Sometimes the other team gets past the line and he gets hit. Well, as a man, and if you want to be in the forefront, and if you want to be a leader, you can't just be the leader when things are going well. You also have to be willing to take the hit.
That's good. That's really good. All right. How do you feel in the presence of a white person? Do you feel feelings change if it's a white male or a white female?
Well, that as of right now, and where I am in my life right now, whenever I'm in the presence of not just anyone who's white, but anybody of any type of different race, background, ethnicity, or whatever that may be, my feelings or how I feel secure simply because I know who I am as a person. I know who I am as a man. I definitely know what I am capable of. No, I love the Lord, but you can still catch these hands. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just I'm just playing.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that. So do you find yourself so tell us about that was a good one, by the way. I've seen it on t-shirts. I mean, I don't see the problem. I know it's my heart, right? So why don't you tell us, Tommy, have you ever had any painful experiences when it came to being disrespected or treated unjustly because of being a Black man?
Well, the beginning of my story, a part of my story, as you know, that I shared was I graduated high school halfway illiterate, right? And what a lot of people don't really know about being halfway illiterate, or when you struggle with illiteracy, is that you suffer a lot of challenges. For example, if you have a argument or a debate with someone, right, and then someone is talking down to you, it's very hard to defend yourself and to talk back or to argue back or to debate back because you don't have the intellect to do so. So a lot of times people are firing these fiery words at you, degrading you, and you don't know how to defend yourself. Well, when I first got into the military, I may have gotten into the Marines, but it did not change the fact that I was still halfway illiterate. So I dealt with certain things behind closed doors. I had certain comments say to me by my seniors, who were not Black, say things to me like, "You made a mistake. You should not have came here. We're not going to waste our money on you and pay for you to go to college because you're not college material." Wow. If it was up to us, we would do our best to hand you your pink slip. You made a mistake by coming here. You probably will never amount to be anything. Wow. And when I looked at some of my peers who were around me at the time when I was getting told these things, truth be told, these guys wasn't doing anything out the ordinary. They barely could come to work. So you mean to tell me that you talk down to me like this because I start to develop an opinion, but because I do, and probably because of my skin color, maybe you talk down to me like that, and you know that I have this issue with trying to comprehend, and you use that against me. And those are some things that that I experienced early on in my career in the military.
Wow, man. How do you cope, since you're talking about being in the military? So how have you, because you ended up spending 22 years in the military. So how have you coped, or what things, what precautions, what have you, lessons you've learned, or how have you been able to overcome being treated like that in the beginning of your military career, and now, you know, going all the way through to where you've graduated and you've, you know,
Wow, 22 years is amazing.
retired. Yeah. So how have you been able to, you know, this journey? Could you take us on it?
You know, there's so many concepts. The first thing I would say, you know, is for me, you know, it really started out with me asking God to help me in open up a door, you know, make a way. Because
Mm,
if you are unable to defend yourself verbally, when you are uneducated and ignorant, you know, a combination of both. And people who have some education, and when they talk down to you, right? Either one or two things happens to a person. Either you fold and you give in
mhm.
and you allow their lie to become a reality,
Right.
or you get extremely angry and you use it as a stepping stone. For me, my response was it angered me, and I was determined to prove them wrong.
Mm,
And the only thing that I knew to do was to ask God to open up doors to help me to better myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that. And one way he did that was that there was this old lady, probably about 70, 80 years old, right? And I went to her every day for about 4 days a week from 5:30 to 9:45. And she taught basic stuff, basic English, basic math. And it'd be 12 o'clock midnight and everybody in the class is gone. And I'm sitting down at this desk with this old lady at 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, the janitors and everybody's gone home. Just me and her. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And one time I said to her, I said, you know, I, I think I'm starting to get it. Can we go over it one more time? And we would go over it one more time. And this went on for about 6 or 7 weeks. And she took her time to teach me What that allowed me to do was retake this test that's called the ASVAB test that allows you to have a certain score. Well, I passed it by 1 point.
Wow.
That allowed me to go to college. And I went on, and my motivation and my anger pushed me to get an associate's degree, then to go back to get a bachelor's, then to go back to get a master's, then to go back to get a second bachelor's in project management, motivated me to write a
wow.
book. And so, and of
Wow.
course, along the way, there were certain journeys and milestones
Yeah.
and tribulations and success stories, things like that.
Yeah.
So God has a way of answering your prayer in a way that looks very uncommon to you. And he used
Yeah.
the old lady that was 8 years old
Wow.
that stayed in the classroom with me every day to 1 o'clock in the morning doing fractions and reading pronouns.
My God. That's awesome. I want to say to our listeners, like, if you have some young people, you know, you have some kids listening, you didn't stop at an excuse. You know, you decided that no matter what they're saying about me, I can overcome this. I'm going to move past this. And you not only wished, you know, decided, okay, I wonder if you actually put the work in and went and, you know, studied for the tests and, you know, just a stepping stone. So I want to tell the listeners that there's no excuse for where you're coming from. There's no excuse for you how you were brought up. There's no excuse for you making it and doing your best and being your best version of yourself, no matter how you started.
Right.
So I'm just wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I
Your
love the
stories.
story of that woman who helped you. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even know if she knows the impact that she had on your life, you know,
Right.
because just taking the time to do that, you know, was a big deal. And it turned out to 22 years in the
My
military,
God.
second master's degree. I mean, that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Had it not been for her, like she was the reason why I was able to stay in because I retook the test and passed it. So
Yeah.
if I could not retake the test and passed it, I wouldn't have stayed in. I wouldn't have gone on to get several degrees or write a book. It all started because God sent this little old lady into my life
Yeah.
that patience of Job, and we sat in the class many nights, one o'clock in
Wow,
the morning, doing fractions.
that's an awesome
You know,
story.
and I think it's important to whoever's listening, to educators, or even to just a little old lady, or you, whoever's listening, to know
Yeah,
that you don't know the impact that you could have on someone's life.
yeah,
And those 6 weeks that she literally helped transform
yeah,
their life. But I wanted to divert real quick, Tommy, and ask you a question. Now, I don't know the statistics on Black men in America who struggle with graduating with, some type of illiteracy or something like that. And I'm sure that it's something that some people may go one way and you chose to go another way and fight for, like Zanet said, for your
yeah,
future in education. So what would you say to maybe a Black man who's listening who may be struggling with that and doesn't know what to do,
yeah.
or how to get on their feet with that?
Or maybe even feel embarrassed
Of
because
course.
that's that kind of a. I know that a lot of Black men, they seem to carry that, you know, feeling of being embarrassed or not, their ego being stripped from them, so
Right.
they carry that burden of just feeling less than.
Right, right. Yeah, I would definitely tell anybody who's listening. There's actually a couple of concepts I would throw out there. First one I would say is, believe it or not, is how bad do you want it?
That's
Um,
good.
how bad do you want it? Because if you want it bad enough, if you don't know how to make it happen, you will figure out the how if you know why it has to happen. That
Yeah.
you will figure out the
That's good.
how if you understand the why. So my question is, how bad do you want it? Because we have to take some level of responsibility for bettering ourselves, right? Uh, uh,
True.
God, as loving as He is, He's not going to sit back and do all the work. You have to
Yeah.
take some level of responsibility. So the first thing I would say
Yeah.
is this: I would say, how bad do you want it? And if you feel like that wanting it for yourself is not enough, then the second thing I would say is, well, who do you want it for? Because as a man, there are people in my life who depend on me.
Right.
I have daughters who depend on me. If I don't want something bad enough for myself, at least have the passion, the fire, the fuel, the desire, the respect, and the love to at least want it for them.
That's
Because
right.
last time that I checked, they did not ask to be here.
Gotcha. Speaking about your daughters, and he has three beautiful daughters, and I wanted to know, how do you feel when it comes to protecting your daughters from negative experiences that might result from their skin color?
Well, as a father, it's my responsibility to do to do many things, right? Number one, as far as protecting them, from the onslaughts and the negative comments regarding their skin colors and everything else, right? It is my duty to instill in all my girls how beautiful you are.
Right.
They have to hear that from me, because I
Yes.
know when they go outside in this world, they're not going to hear from somebody else, or if they do hear it from somebody else, it is an agenda attached to it. So the way that I have to overcome that, help them overcome it, is to constantly feed them and let them know, hey, you are beautiful. My 4-year-old, we have a saying. I say to her, I say, who thinks you're pretty? And she says, my daddy thinks I'm pretty. Right? They have to know that they are beautiful, so that when they go
Good.
outside and they have something that happened because of their skin color, they know that my daddy said I'm pretty.
Right.
My daddy said, yeah, but my daddy said.
That's right.
And that's good. That's good.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
So you know that there's a lot of misconceptions right now out about Black men.
Hmm.
What are one of the misconceptions that you would change regarding Black men today?
Well, in order for me to change some misconceptions, Again, some level of responsibility has to be taken. And that's just for example, you see these young men walking around with their pants hanging down. That's not helping anything. So first thing I would say is we always gotta do what we can to help ourselves. If there is something that we can do regarding that. And so number one, walking around with your hands hanging down is not helping anyone. Right? Yeah, so I would definitely say that. But as far as if I could change anything else, I would definitely say that, keep on doing what we're doing in regards of being a voice, speaking out, working together, linking up together, getting together with all kind of networks, resources, things like that, and pushing these things forward in our community so that our voice can continue to be heard.
Wow, that's good.
One thing you keep saying is talking about taking responsibility. And I think that's a really important part because if you did not sit in the classroom, she couldn't teach herself. You had to be willing to stay there until 1 o'clock in the morning to get what you needed when it was just the two of you in the classroom. So I think that's a really important part. Do the work, take responsibility for where and who you want to be.
Yeah. Right. And another good point you said was, we got to do what we can do. If you feel like if you dress better and you put your pants up, that might help in the way people see you. So do what you can do.
And I don't want to be misleading, saying that dress better, that's going to eradicate racism.
Right.
No, right. I'm not.
We know better, don't we?
I don't want to think, well, he said if you dress better, there don't be no more racism. No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying control what you can control.
Yeah. That's it. That's good. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask, what impact did George Floyd's death have on you?
Well, I mean, it had a tremendous impact for the simple fact that that's a life. Not only is it a life, but the way that he died did not have to happen. I think that nothing saddens me more when people try to bring up his history, what he did or things he did in his past, and so because of his history, it was okay for him to die like that. But truth be told, if God was to open up the closet and pull out all your skeletons, say that so it's the same thing. So it impacted me because no person deserved.
That's right.
To be treated like that, to die like that. It was senseless. It was senseless. It was heartless. It was cruel. In every way. Yeah. So it really has impacted me. One way it definitely has impacted me is that there's a lot of pain in this world, and pain is where most people live. I want to be able to change people's address and replace that with some type of hope. Fellowship, unity, and so that's definitely impacted me to try to, just try to bring people together more.
That's good. That's really good.
I think you made a really good point that people live in pain, and I think that's really, first of all, it's a powerful statement, but I think it's a heart-wrenching one as well. And I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Because getting past the pain, getting past the pain takes work, and a lot of people sometimes want to skip that process. It takes work. Right. It takes work. Yeah. So that leads me to, I know that you wrote a book, right? Am I understanding? It's a devotional, is that right?
Right.
Okay, so what got you to the point of that you wanted to write down this devotional on paper and actually get it published?
Well, I mean, it started just based off of something simple, and that was just just kind of spending time with God, reading the Bible, just writing down notes, or writing down certain things that happened to me in my life, and just kind of without knowing it, I would write down things that happened. Then I would start to write down the things that God has done for me. I'm gonna write down the things that happened. Then I'm gonna write down how He fixed it, or I'll write down things I prayed about. Then I'll write down how He answered it.
That's good.
And so it started out just as a simple journal, right? And then as time went by, I said, man, I got like a lot of notes here. Maybe I can write a book. Then, you talk yourself out of, say, man, books are for smart people. Man, I can't write them, man, And so just kind of went back and forth with that. And it finally got to the point to where I said, I think that I'm not going to be able to have any peace. I'm not going to be able to rest until I get this thing out of me.
Wow. So it's a devotional, right?
Right.
And where can they find this devotional? What's the name of this devotional?
The name of the book is called Deep Waters, Life's 31-Day Devotional. They can go on Amazon. They can get it as an actual book, or for my Kindle readers, you can get the Kindle version as well.
That is awesome.
All right.
Do you think that you would write any more books?
I think I will. My personal goal that I'm working on right now is to be a New York Times best-selling author.
Okay, Mr. Gray.
And I know you can do it. Yeah. With all that you've accomplished so far, and all just the road and the journey that you've taken so far to accomplish and overcome so many obstacles, there's no doubt in my mind that you can do that. You'll accomplish that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the name of the book is Deep Waters. Wait, what did I say? Life's 31-Day Devotional. Did I say that wrong?
Yes.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Amazon, and for your Kindle readers, you can find it as well.
Yep.
So yes, I'm excited about that.
All right. Are we doing our?
Yeah, let's go for it. Tommy's got
Okay.
This. All right.
Actually, I wanted to ask him one more before we go into a rapid fire, right?
Okay.
What is that? What? Can I get it out? Can I get it out? How can real change occur for Black men?
Well, I mean, no one person has all the answers, and that's for sure. So I think that real change occurred for example, you said, how can real change occur for Black men? The question wasn't how can real change occur for a Black man. How can real change occur for Black men, meaning us, right? So if it's Black men, MEN, that means that it starts with us. So real change starts as Black men, as we come together, and brainstorm, as we come together and share our thoughts, our ideas, our experiences, share each other's burdens, lift one another up. That's how change occurs. I mean, how peaceful it is, my brethren are able to dwell together in unity, and no one man is out. So I think that real change can at least start to happen when we come together as one and start to work from there.
That's good.
Awesome. Absolutely agree. And thank you, Jessica. Jessica put the link up to your book.
Yeah.
It's in the comments if you need it. It was on the screen. Let's get that book moving.
Let's get that book. Lisa, do 11. One more. I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
Do 11. I always want to know what our guests the answer is for that one.
If you could change one misconception or stereotype about Black men, what would it be? Misconception or stereotype that people have about
me, right? Is that for me?
Yes, sir.
One misconception, or stereotype that, as I was growing up, one thing you always seen was a lot of, African American men, hanging around certain spots outside, maybe the liquor stores, or just doing some things they ain't got no business doing. When the whole thing is that, no matter who you are, every race, culture, creed, nationality, all do things that we have no business doing. So what I want to change is that, all Blacks, are not thugs, not criminals, not gangbangers. No, that's one misconception I want to change. And in theory, it goes back to it all starts with what you can control. No matter what change happens, there has to be some kind of responsibility taken.
Man,
whatever
good.
you control.
Yeah. And I think that really is the key, Tommy, because I think oftentimes people say, well, it's their fault or their fault. No, what responsibility do you take?
Yeah.
You know, because the choices are yours, the life is yours. No one can control the actions that you take.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way you respond.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So
the closing questions that we ask all our panelists, I'm going to give you a word. And please share with us your first word or experience that comes to your mind when you hear the following word. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Racial profiling. What comes to your mind first when you hear that?
Man. Every African American that has died at the hands of police brutality in the past 6 months.
Wow.
Stereotype.
African American man driving his vehicle in a very nice neighborhood and getting stopped or pulled over or harassed for no reason.
Yep. White privilege.
I would say getting stopped by the police, not all, just some, getting stopped by the police for whatever's wrong, and they are blatantly disrespectful, pushing back against the police, and not as much force is used against them as it would be as if an African American man was blatantly disrespectful and or pushing and shoving back.
Yeah, that's a sad reality, and it's what you said is exactly true. We've seen it recorded live. I've seen police officers wrestling a white person to the ground when we would have been something violent probably would have happened to an African American. So
that one's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Social injustice.
George Floyd.
Prejudice.
Said it.
Life.
Marginalization.
I am going to go with the word communities.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy, for joining us. I think that your story is very, very powerful. I hope that people go back and watch it from the beginning and share it with those who may have experienced some of the struggles that you have, especially having the confidence to share your story as a Black man and then how far you've come. You know, that's huge. So thank you for joining us with that tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
If you wanted to say one thing to our audience, Tommy, you have the floor. What do you want to say to the audience before we close out?
Well, I just want to. I will provide the audience a word of encouragement, and I just want to let the people know and the listeners who to know that sometimes life happens, and sometimes when life happens, sometimes it can cause you to get stuck. Sometimes you drive down the interstates, and when you drive down the interstates, you'll see a car on the side of the road. And you know if that car has been there for a long time because it has an orange sticker on it. And other cars on the interstate are driving by. But that car on the side of the road with the orange sticker there, it stays there. You walk past a lot of people every day that have orange stickers on them. There are a lot of people in life who are stuck. Be that person to encourage somebody to help them get unstuck. I share with people this. With God, with Him, eventually, whatever it is, eventually everything is going to be okay. Maybe not overnight, but definitely over time.
Love it. Absolutely.
That's good.
That was good.
That's really good. Oh, I'm encouraged. Thanks again, Tommy, for coming on here and just sharing your heart and just inspiring and encouraging us. Thanks to our audience for tuning in for another week of We're Listening and Unsaid is Another Account of a Black Man's Experience. And we will see you guys on the next one. If you missed an episode, I need you to go back. Okay, go back and check it out. We have some tremendous guests on here who have poured their heart out and have shared some stuff that I think will encourage your heart, will just bring just some enlightenment to just this current situation and kind of just help you to navigate through this time that we're going through. So thanks again, Tommy. Lisa, you have anything?
No, that was amazing. Thanks, Tommy. We'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Okay.
Later.
Bye, Tommy.
All right. Bye, sis. All right.